So, what is the most difficult thing you had to overcome as an entrepreneur?
But one example is in the early years of my career, I was in my 20s. I had to pay my way through college. My family did not come from wealth. We're a blue-collar family. My dad is and always has been and still is an auto mechanic. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And back then, like, my family didn't really believe in education or anything. They figured I was a girl and could marry wealthy if I wanted to have lots of money. Even though for myself, I had other plans to figure out a way. I wanted to go to school. I had to pay for it. So I got a job at a mortgage company. And I graduated from school. I was processing mortgages. Because I processed mortgages, I learned how easy it was house. And I ended up buying my first house at a very young age, somewhere around 20. It was so simple. In fact, I bought it, I fixed it up, and I sold it. And then that multiple times, that's how I ended up paying my way through school, was flipping real estate. I then ended up building a really big mortgage business. And I'll say in my early 20s, I was making a ton of money. And it's like, it came so easy for me that I built a house by the time I was 25. By the time I was 26, 27, I had a second home on the ocean. I had cars. I was like a kid, just a kid, making all this money, and life was easy. Somewhere around 30 years old, the real estate market had crashed. So my mortgage business tanked. By that time, I owned a couple real estate businesses, tanked. Everything was like overnight, the market changed. And I had to sell. I did not go bankrupt, but I had to sell everything in order to keep my business. So I sold both of my big houses. I sold off my cars. And all I really cared immensely about my business, my real estate company. So I said, do whatever you can, sell whatever you have to in order to keep the real estate business. So I ended up moving into this tiny inner city investment property that I had owned. I had been in the middle of remodeling to sell it when the market crashed. So I sold my big house and I moved into this little house in the city. So what I asked myself at that time when I lost everything is I said, I have the ability to manifest anything. So it was me who manifested everything. So that's the first thing. It's never anybody else's fault that whatever you've attracted in your life, good or bad, somehow you manifested it. So what I look at, and I still look at it now, 14 years later, I say, how did I manifest losing everything? Because it's important to know, so I never do it again. So what I look at going back to that time is, and by the way, I've rebuilt it all. I mean, I lost everything, but I've already built a new empire that's 10 times bigger that I had lost back then. But I will say that I'm smarter about the way I build it now. And I realize the importance of the dialogue that happens in my own head. And I believe that when I lost everything, that I was the one who created that. The way that I created it was through my thinking. So for example, going back to those years, I always tell myself, and I think this is not unusual for people that for anybody that did not come from money, you get money, you constantly think about like, you have like these weird paradigms in you about money. So back to tell myself constantly, I came from nothing, I'd be okay with nothing. That was the inner dialogue I had with myself all day long. Came from nothing, meaning I came from no money, and I'd be okay with no money. I would tell myself that all day, every day. Now, what I need to say to myself is that I'm really not that attached to material things in general. as far as I don't spend a ton of money on expensive clothes or expensive cars. Like, what matters to me more is a great experience, like being around people or seeing a sunset. That's what I was trying to say to myself. But by going around with the inner dialogue, saying nothing, I'd be okay with nothing. I came from nothing, I'd be okay with nothing. With that type of inner dialogue, eventually one day you wake up and the universe exactly what you asked for, which is nothing. So the past decade, I've become extra good at creating a very strong and healthy dialogue in my own head. Now I tell myself, because I do believe the stories in your mind become the story of life. So any circumstance you live right now is 100% the circumstance that you've been living in your own head for these past years. Your circumstances change the stories going on in your own head all day long. So now I tell myself I'm a billionaire in the making. By becoming a billionaire, it gives me the ability to help and change the world faster than I could do it without being a billionaire. Constantly tell myself all day, every day, that today I'm going to meet the right people at the right time for the betterment of my business and my life. I tell myself that every single day, almost every single day. People enter my life out of the blue, and they're people meet at the right time for the betterment of my business and my life. So I'd say the biggest challenge I had to overcome was figuring out how I lost everything so that I never do that again. And what I've learned about myself is that the reason I lost everything is of my own inner dialogue. And I constantly practice, even today, like becoming very good at creating those strongs. One book for your listeners to consider is Shad Helmstetter's What You Say When You Talk to Yourself. It's an amazing book, and it's about the power of the dialogue that you have in your head all day.